Welcome back everyone to another episode of Sneaker Updates. This will be Sneaker Updates number 79. If you happen to be new here, feel free to subscribe and enable post notifications just so you're always 100% updated on every hyped sneaker. Essentially, in this series, we go over sneakers that received updates throughout the week. For example, some of those may potentially include some Jordans, Yeezys, and more. With that short intro out of the way though, why don't we jump right into the first update. Kicking it off for today, we'll actually be starting with Yeezys because we have some extremely exciting news to discuss. Earlier this week, it was revealed that the Yeezy 350 V2 Blue Tint will finally be re-releasing, following their initial release date in December 2017. Shout out to those of you who were part of the OG Yeezy 350 V2 Blue Tint live stream. You guys are the real OGs out there. Leave a comment down below if you were one of those people. I really appreciate all you guys because, that is exactly what really got this channel started. And that is exactly why this shoe means so much to me, as it holds a lot of sentimental value. Sometimes you really just don't know you're in the good old days until they're gone. I remember going over things like the Shopify bypass, the multiple people jig, and even things like the Barney's jig. Crazy how times have changed so fast. But anyway, the Yeezy 350 Blue Tint will be re-releasing in November of this year for $220. Despite the influx in stock that we will be seeing, I still expect them to be very profitable with a very good margin in all sizes, with those under 8 being the best. This is definitely a drop to look forward to in terms of profit as well as personal pairs. For those of you who still have the pairs from 2017, the value will inevitably be dropping once more pairs are in circulation, so selling them before it's too late would be optimal. While prices are still very high right now and seem hardly impacted by the post about these. This is not the only Yeezy that will be restocking in the near future though. Remember from the last video, the Yeezy 700 Wave Runner will also be restocking again. This is now like the 5th time they've been restocking, yet they still managed to hold their value, which is very impressive nonetheless. The Yeezy 500 Blush is also set to be restocking, which will also remain profitable with a great margin, but of course expect the price to drop from where it's at now. So just friendly reminders, if you do have pairs still, I would suggest getting rid of them whenever you do have a chance. We're seeing more and more of these older Yeezys restock, and just as Yeezy Mafia stated, no colorway is safe. This is nothing new though. Ever since Adidas restocked the Zebras when they used to be one of the most limited 350s, the lack of stability on Adidas products has become very apparent. But anyway, now moving on to some other Yeezy related news, the Yeezy 700 MNVN Honey Flux will be dropping in October of this year for $220. This is great to see another MNVN, considering they all have been profitable and have had very good margins thus far, so I definitely cannot complain. Then, courtesy of Influence Visions, we have an in-hand look at the Yeezy 700 Inflame Ember, which we discussed last week. These will be dropping on June 11th for $240. Since we do have that $240 retail again, rather than the old $300 for 700s, this should definitely leave sufficient room for profit with a decent margin at the least. June is looking absolutely stacked, especially in terms of Yeezys. Make sure you do subscribe and enable post notifications for the June sneakers to resale video, as well as all the how to cop guides that I will be pumping out. We also got some additional in-hand picks, some detailed ones for the Yeezy 350 Lite, courtesy of Franz Ogston. Shout out to Franz, he's actually one of the developers I'm working with on Gargantua AIO. Moving on, we also got our first in-hand look at the Yeezy 700 MNVN Bright Cyan, courtesy of Influence Visions, which we discussed last week. These are dropping on June 7th for $220. Expect them to also be very profitable with a great margin. And finally, for Yeezys, we also have official images loaded for the Yeezy Foam Runner Mineral Blue, which is dropping for $80 on May 29th, alongside the Yeezy Foam Runner Sand restock. Expect both of these to still be very profitable with incredible margins, thanks to that very low retail. With Yeezys out of the way though, now let's move on to some Jordans. Kicking it off, official images have now loaded for the Jordan 1 Seafoam. These drop on August 12th for $170 in men and $130 in grade school sizes. Expect all sizes to be profitable with a good margin as well. More importantly, the full release of the Jordan 3 Maniére collab will be taking place on May 22nd. As you guys know, we already saw the Maniére release for these, which was great to say the least for manual users, especially those of which who did use auto carders and fillers, such as the one we offer for free in Endurance. Unfortunately, this second chance at them will not be so manual friendly. This is because the majority of the drops are going to be raffles, such as and clothing, which already open, and some small Shopify boutique drops. Regardless, still try your best on these releases as they're still very profitable with a great margin. Then we got some detailed in-hand picks courtesy of Sam Group for the Jordan 4 Union Taupe Haze. These are supposed to be releasing next month, just adding on to the insane chaos that June brings to us. So far, it's shaping up to be potentially the greatest month of the year thus far, as I was alluding to earlier. Retail on these is slightly higher than most 4s at $225, but you can of course still expect them to be very profitable with a great margin. That goes for both colorways, of course. Then we finally got an in-hand up-close look at the Travis Scott Jordan 1 Low. These are set to drop in fall of this year, as you guys know, for $150. Expect them to be extremely profitable with an incredible margin. With Jordans out of the way though, now let's move on to some miscellaneous sneakers. We'll actually start off with some Off-White. The last Off-White Dunk 50 that we discussed was back in April, but now we finally got some new looks at some new colorways. The first one includes the 21 of 50 and the second one includes the 1 of 50. Expect all of the Off-White Dunks from this collection to be extremely profitable with an incredible margin. They are currently set to drop this fall. Then official images have loaded for the Dunk Low Classic Green. Pairs are set to drop in June for $100. Expect all sizes to be very profitable with a great margin. Moving on, it looks like the Blazer Low Sacai are finally actually dropping. We discussed these earlier this year multiple times, but they kept getting pushed back. Now, not only have official images loaded, but even some raffles have started to pop up, such as End Clothing. These should be dropping on May 26th for $120 each. At least for Europe, it is possible that US may potentially be delayed though. Expect both of these colorways to be very profitable with great margins. Now, I have some really incredible news. Just as we were discussing how great the Maniére Jordan 3 drop was for manual users with the separate domain drop, it looks like we will be getting another in June. This will be for the Dunk Low Undefeated collab. Expect these to be very profitable with an incredible margin, full throttle for sure. This should definitely be a great manual opportunity, especially if you do have access to a Chrome extension to automate the checkout process. Moving on, we get our first in-hand look at the Dunk Low Familia collab, which will be dropping later this year, potentially this fall. Expect these to also be very profitable with a great margin. Then we also got an in-hand look at the Dover Street Market Dunk Low, which is set to be dropping late this summer. If they do hypothetically try out the new domain method, which most retailers for these collabs have been doing, we might actually have a manual shot on Dover Street Market for once, for the first time in many years. Anyway, expect this release to be very profitable with a great margin when they do end up dropping. And lastly, just a friendly reminder that the Dunk Low What the Paul drops at skate shops on the 22nd and Nike sneakers on the 24th. Make sure you do watch my How to Cop guide if you have not yet, and also for anyone who does need pre-verified Nike sneakers accounts for the drop, feel free to check out my site TARS. The link is in the description below. Anyway, that will conclude it for today. Feel free to leave a like if you enjoyed the video, or if you perhaps learned a thing or two. Subscribe and enable post notifications just to stay 100% updated on all hyped releases. Also, feel free to check out the links in the description below for reliable, fast, residential proxies and pre-verified Nike sneakers or Adidas accounts. Also, feel free to follow Endurance's Twitter for updates on restocks or key giveaways. Last but not least, make sure to follow KeithAdam10 and personals for you so you guys stay updated on all urgent info like I was discussing today. With that though, I will see you guys later. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and good luck on these upcoming drops, of course.